When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hey guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. Let's continue where we last left off. After having a battle royale with feral vampires, werewolves, and ghouls, he finally delivered a letter he was asked to deliver, alongside collecting the heads of the vampires for the bounty. After Shoka left the room, Izuku relaxed for a few minutes before one of the maids came in with some food for him. After eating a good meal, the maids returned with some spare clothes for him to wear. After getting dressed, he was escorted to the garden where Shoka is waiting for him. Let's take a good look at you. I had a good feeling you would look good in them. What do you plan to do after this, Izuku? I haven't thought that far ahead. I might do some traveling to the other cities. You plan to still hunt, right? Yes, I'm still a hunter. I bet there's plenty of things still to hunt out in the wilderness. That's good. I would like to propose a deal with you, Izuku. I'm listening, Shoka. I could sponsor you as a hunter. My family is well known, and it will open doors for you. It will also prevent any trouble when you enter the other vampire cities. I have a vast information spy network at my command. I can arrange all sorts of jobs for you. From vampire hunting, werewolf hunting, so on. There's all kinds of different types of supernatural creatures roaming the wilderness. And you will gain much needed experience doing these jobs for any nasty creature that would threaten the status quo of things. If you allow me to sponsor you, think of me as your benefactor, so no one will take advantage of you. When it comes to payments, you don't have to decide right away. You can think about it. I'm a patient girl. But I see great profits to be made with your skill. Almost sounds like you want to create a hunter team. I am. It would both benefit us. It would both benefit me and you. I get prestige while you get experience and a good amount of money. And you will have access to resources that you wouldn't originally. And I would be able to provide you a place to make a home base. It would be beneficial for the both of us. That is a tempting offer, Shoka. I'll think about it. Good. As she linked her arms with Izuku, I'll give you a tour around the palace. As she walked off with Izuku, many other vampires, noticing Lady Shoka guiding the vampire hunter around the palace to give him a tour of the palace grounds. Out of pure curiosity, is there other hunters that get sponsored by vampires? There are several hunters that are sponsored by a house for many of the noble families of the Vampire Nation. I've always wanted to get into the hunter business, but I can never find the right hunter to manage. And when I witnessed your fight that night at the hotel and in the forest, to say I was impressed is a understatement. With your battle instincts, skills, and your prowess in magic, you are most impressive. And as a Midoriya, you're as strong as any turned vampire. That would make you worthy for me alone. I've been looking for years to sponsor a hunter. I'm very picky. In truth, I don't really see you as a Midoriya. You're quite different compared to the rest of them. You're as crazy and psychopathic like the rest of them, but you're a lot more friendly towards vampires in general. You don't hunt them because you hate them. That was evidence enough. Spending so what little time I've spent with you. I might have spied on your little fight in the abandoned ruined city. I was curious. For a Midoriya to travel alone, it's quite odd, really. And to think you use a barrier magic as defense and as offense. It's quite brilliant, really. Thank you for the compliment. I'm proud of that myself. I've always been able to create magical barriers ever since I was a kid. It just came to me naturally. I've only increased my skill over the years with it. And to think my magic barriers would be. And I think my magical barriers would be quite profitable. Do tell. As you know, if you're not in a if you're not in a human city or any of the other vampire cities, it's extremely dangerous out there. I have a sinking feeling there's more towns like that like that town is run by Kami Woods. I could charge a reasonable fee, either money or resources or information, for my barriers. Keep them nice and protected. See what you're getting at, so you don't have to maintain them like you did the one in the clearing. I don't have to maintain it. Only reason I did it in during that one time is because I had to constantly repair the barrier. Should be the barrier should still be up at the village. That's one of my weaker ones, but it should be protecting them still throughout the throughout a couple nights. The more mana I use, the stronger my barrier is. But my stronger ones takes a lot more time to perform. It's quite tax it's quite taxing with mana. How long does it usually last, your stronger barriers? Weaker ones for a few days, my stronger ones for a few months. It all depends on how much mana I feel into the barrier. On top of that, I'm connected to my barrier, so I know when my barrier goes down or someone breaks through it. Hearing this wants me to sponsor you even more, Izuku. You're full of surprises. Smart move would be to accept your proposal, but I want to finish things through before I accept or deny or decline your offer. Like I said, my friendly psychopath, take your time. Think it over. I'm willing to wait for your answer. We can do a lot of good. You know the right people, you have the skill. We would be a perfect team. You're very ambitious, aren't you, Shoka? Of course I am. I'm a Todoroki. I'm I'm my father's daughter. It runs in our blood. I'm starting to like you. You're my type of vampire. Just don't fall in love with me. As Shoka has a teasing grin on her face. Dream of it, princess. As Izuku had a similar grin on his face. Shoka started to laugh, actual laugh, and all the other vampires noticed it. The Ice Queen actually laughing. That's never been seen before. Distance. Rei and Shoto watch Shoka and Izuku walk around the palace grounds, laughing and joking with each other. Well, look at that. They're getting along extremely well. I'd never seen Shoka so expressional before. It's nice to see sisters smile and laugh. I had a feeling they would hit it off pretty well. I had a feeling they would form a deep bonds with each other. The closer they get, the easier things will get for him when I implement my plan. I also need a I also need a sample of his DNA to see if it's even possible for Izuku to be turned. Don't give me that look, Mom. I'm just curious, that's all. I like the guy, but I won't allow such talents to be wasted. As the descendant of Van Helsing, he's far too important to squander. Just don't go too far, son. I know my limits, Mother. Anything I implement will be for his best benefit and ours. I see so many possibilities. You're going to be a great ruler when I step down, son. In no hurry to take your place, Mother. I know, I know, son, but I won't be the ruler of this city forever. I need to allow the younger generation to prove themselves. Why didn't you give that position to sister? Your sister's a lot of things, but a ruler is not one of them. She's too cold. She has a low opinion of humans. And do I need to remind you of her total disdain of all succubus? She's not the right type, nor the right fit. Your sister knows that. We've talked about this many times in the past. She has shown no interest in taking my place when I step down. She has her own ambitions she wants to achieve. Later that evening, you have all the Todorokis and Izuku sitting down at the dining room table in the dining hall of the palace. Izuku has brought food while the vampires were drinking their blood in their chalices, conversating with each other. They do this every afternoon. They don't really need to drink that much blood to keep their bodies functional, but they do like the whole family get-togethers every day, every afternoon. The Todoroki family, the Todoroki cherish their family bonds than most pure blood families. Izuku dear, how are you liking the palace so far? I'm quite enjoying your palace. It's very beautiful. Do all purebloods live in castles like this one? All purebloods. It all depends on the family. I just prefer castles. The medieval age was always my favorite. I bet you're interested about the city itself. I am. This is the first vampire city I ever been, so I'm quite curious about the city itself, and the people, and the culture in general. That's perfect. Son, what do you have scheduled tomorrow? I have nothing scheduled. I'm pretty free. I'll give our new friend here a tour around the city. And it's settled. If you're going to be showing Ezekiel around the city, stay out of mischief, brother. I don't know how you do it, but every time you venture into the city, you always found yourself in some sort of trouble. You can't blame me for that. You can't blame that on me, sister. Trouble always just seems to find me. I have no control over that. You say so, brother. Just keep in mind, if he gets hurt in any shape or form, you will pay. Well, aren't you overprotective? I have to be if he's going into the city with you, troublesome brother. And I quite enjoy his company, and anything that deters that will feel my wrath. Don't be mistaken, brother. Even you are not immune to my wrath. All right, sister. I'll be extra careful. We'll see, brother. If anything happens, I'll know about it. After all, I am the spy master of the city. There's nothing in the city I don't know about. Shoto gulped and laughed nervously, remembering how scary his sister can be when she set her mind on something. Before you leave for the city tomorrow, I want you to bring Izuki to my office so I can give him the money from the bounties. Of course, mother. I'll take my leave. I have many things unfinished. Needs to be completed. I'll see you tomorrow, Izuku. Shoto left the dining room hall to continue his duties. I'll leave you two to it. I'll excuse myself. I have some things I also need to take care of in my office. Daughter, have a good night. Izuku, have a good night as well. I'll see you in the morning. Shoko watched her mother leave the dining room hall. I hope the food is to your liking, Izuku. All the food is perfect, Shoka. I haven't had a home-cooked meal in a while. It's a nice change of pace. And for your proposal you asked earlier today, I said I'll have an answer. I said I will have an answer for your proposal when I get back from the tour around the city. Shoko just gave him a warm smile. I'll escort you to your room, so there's no other further attempts. I don't wish to repeat what happened the first night you were here. Appreciated. Izuku followed Shoka to his room and said good night as he closed the door and lay down on the bed, while Shoka continued her daily duties with her spy network. The next morning, he met up with Shoto and made their way to his mother's office. You two are here. Here's your earnings from the bounty. It's on this card. As she handed over a red debit card to Izuku. Izuku examined the red debit card, only lettering on the card itself. All it says is blood card. Blood card. Kinda catchy. It does have a catchy name. I can admit that. There should be around 10,000 on the card. You get 40,000 in total. The rest of the funds should be transferred in a few days. You'll be able to use the card in any human, vampire, or any werewolf city. Alongside, the card will also work in any of the succubus cities. In other words, any city, the funds will be quite useful for you. You should be able to use anything in any city to purchase whatever items to your leisure. Normally, you only get so much from a bounty like this, but those vampires you took out were extremely troubling, attacking human cities still in blood. So the bounty reward was doubled quite a few times over the years. I definitely need to give thanks to the village chief for bringing that up to my attention. I normally would have ignored them if I didn't know they had a bounty on them. Understandable, but being a hunter, it can be very lucrative if you know the right people. You two boys have fun in the city. Just don't have just don't have too much fun. I will never hear the end of it from your sister. If your sister found out you got yourself in trouble, I will never you just don't want to cross that line, son. You know how your sister gets. I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible. She's already extremely protective over our new hunter friend here. And for an odd reason, you don't seem to mind, Izuku. My aunt was quite similar when I was growing up, so I'm used to it. And I took a liking to your sister. She's fun to be around. Once you get through that cold persona of hers. It warms my undead heart, seeing my daughter get along with you so well. You should probably get going. I have all kind of things I need to get done. Lottery reports. I'm already falling behind. I'll see you this afternoon when you get back. Of course, Lady Ray. That won't do at all. Just Ray will be fine. We're more than casual associates. Practically family by now, sweetheart. See you later, Ray. Izuku and Shoto walk out of the office and left through the front entrance of the castle. Shoto and Izuku, they decided to go on foot. Izuku doesn't really like riding in vehicles when he's trying to explore a city or typical wilderness. And Izuku doesn't mind walking. Exploring on foot has always never bothered him in the long run. And Shoto always travels on foot when he's going into the city. The next few hours, Izuku explored the city with Shoto. First place he went into was a magic shop and picked up a couple of magical tomes that caught his eye. Izuku was broken out of his inner thoughts while they're walking down the street by sensing someone's been trailing them. It looks like we have someone trailing us, Shoto. Notice them as well. Let's head to a secluded area so we can handle this. There is a construction site not far away from here. 2 blocks around of the construction site is abandoned part of that city. It's under repair, so no one should be around. It's the perfect staging ground for our little rats. Lead the way. I'll follow your lead. I wonder who is trailing us. Vampires, I know that for sure. They might be human, or they might be a warlock or witch. I'm not totally sure. After taking a couple of shortcuts through an alleyway to the construction site, they finally entered the construction site. It only took a couple of seconds for their stalkers to reveal themselves. As 4 hooded men entered the construction site, as Izuku is stretching nonchalantly, while Shoto gave them a charming smile and gave them a polite bow. What can I do for you, gentlemen, on a fine day like this? Eat it, bloodsucker. We're not here for you. We're not here for you. You're not our concern. We're after that abomination. Catching a lot of favors to get into this disgusting city filled with blood-sucking parasites and with with those nasty abominations able to use magic. We won't squander this opportunity to rid the world of this abomination. As the hooded one of the hooded men point their swords at Izuku in disdain in his heart, Izuku raised an eyebrow at their comment. As Izuku cocked a grin on his face, "So you finally found me. Touches my heart to see you do still remember me after all these years." "Shut up, you abomination. You two, handle the bloodsucker. You're with me." You immediately jump on a steel beam that's connected by a wire from a crane. Izuku doesn't have his black silver sword with him, so he just created two black silver katanas and tossed one down over to Shoto as the sword dug into the ground right in front of Shoto's feet. "Most appreciated, Izuku. Shall we dance, boys?" The cloak figures throw off their cloaks as you see two members of the Midoriya family pointing their swords at Shota. On the metal beam, the two cloak figures that followed Izuku, they threw off their hoods, revealing two more members of the Midoriya family pointing their weapons at Izuku. As the battle begins, the two Midoriyas push forward and move their swords in a thrusting manner at the same time, only to get their attacks parried and making them unbalanced as one of them dropped their guard as Izuku slashed downwards with his sword, only for the other Midoriya to counter his attack, saving his brother's life from getting chopped in half by the black sword. Midoriya jump backwards to get some distance. They're currently in the middle of the beam. While Izuku can hear sounds of sword colliding with each other down below, Izuku continued his battle with increasing speed, lashing his sword at his two opponents. Izuku managed to push them both to the opposite end of the steel beam. They had no choice but to jump backwards onto the unfinished building that's right next to the beam. Izuku followed them by jumping onto the unfinished building. They currently are in the middle level of the building. Izuku circled around his opponents, gauging their stance to see if there's any weak spots he could exploit. He could tell these ones he could tell they're novices. They're not seasonal Midoriyas. It looks like they just finished their training, or they're in a process of still training. He could tell they're unskilled and disciplined. Two Midoriyas split from each other as both of them rush towards Izuku on both sides, only for their attack to be parried with insane speed. Izuku didn't even move from his spot. He was just standing there, parrying their attack like they were mere children. Once he parried the Midori on the right, he swung his sword, decapitating his opponent on the left. As the head flies up in the middle of the air, as Izuku catches it in his hand by grabbing his hair of the severed head. "You're gonna have to do a lot better than that to take me on, Midoriyas." Man screamed out in rage, seeing his brother cut down right in front of him, only for Izuku to use a flash step technique and appeared right behind him as his head fell from his body as the older brother of the two instantly died on the spot. What a bunch of weaklings. As he created a sheath for his sword and slowly sheathed it, Izuku jumped off the unfinished building to see how Shoto was doing. The moment he saw his companion, he saw him run his sword right through one of the heads of the Midoriya. The only Midoriya left alive, on the opposite side, jumped backwards to get some distance. Izuku placed his hand on Shoto's shoulder. This one's mine, Shoto. After all, it's a family matter. Nice kill, by the way. Quick and clean. Thanks, Izuku. Be my guest. Thanks for the sword. Keep it. Black silver is super effective against vampires and werewolves. Think of it as a gift. Now it's time to clean my mess up. Hello, fellow Midoriya. Where are the others? What did you do to them? They're all dead, of course. You're the only one left alive, and soon you'll be joining the rest of your family. Killing you guys is extremely satisfying. This is just a taste to what's to come. I'm going to slaughter every single Midoriya and kill my loving uncle by chopping off his head and putting his head on a spike as a example. I'm going to burn the Midoriya compound to the ground when I'm done. Don't fret. The Midoriya bloodline won't die. I'll make sure of that. I'll make the clan into something more suited for the current times. Uncle's a fool. He hasn't changed with the status quo of things. He's too stuck in the old way of things going. The Midoriya family needs to evolve to survive. Shut up, you demon. You're spouting nonsense. I'm going to slay you here and now. Such a petty, narrow-minded fool. Very well. I guess there's no point in having a pleasant conversation with you. You're too blinded by your hatred to even realize you're already dead. Your body just hasn't caught up with it yet. Izuku got into a quick draw stance with his katana. He instantly flash step. As Izuku reappeared right behind, as his black katana is only drawn halfway, as he resheathed his weapon, as his sadly family member could feel blood coming from his cheek, as he had a long cut from his blade. I can't believe my idiotic uncle ordered you here, and none of you even have learned the flash step technique. Honestly, pathetic. While the sword was still in its sheath, Izuku slammed his sword across his face, making him spit out a couple of teeth. As he begins to beat the Midoriya with the sheathed weapon repeatedly over the face, as he slammed his sword or jabbed his sword into his stomach and picked him up with his left hand and lift him up in the middle of the air as he begins to crush his skull until there was a splatter of blood, bones, and brain matter scattered all over the construction site ground as the body drops. Well, that was fun. So, what's next? You should be concerned that you brutally killed those humans, especially considering they're your own family, nonchalantly like that, like it was a daily chore. But it was quite a witness of your prowess, Izuku. Didn't we inform your mother of this? There's no need. My sister probably already reporting it to her already. Oh crap. as his eyes widen. With a nervous laugh, we should probably head back, anyways. As he's dreading his encounter with his sister, yet again, he got into trouble. I guess that's probably for the best. After our current excitement, lead on, Shoto. The moment they re-entered the palace, Shoka gave her twin brother a vicious look. I'm glad to see you have no damage. Next time you want to enter the city, I'll be taking you myself. Clearly, I can't even leave that up to my brother. Am I right, brother? Shoto laughed nervously. Technically, it wasn't my fault, sis. Shoka grabbed Shoto by the throat and lifted him up in the middle of the air. I suggest you move yourself from my sight before I do something violent. Do we understand each other, brother? She dropped him to the floor. Silent, as Shoka gives him another dirty look. Alright. You don't have to ask me twice. See you later, Izuku. Thanks for the sword. Izuku watches the retreating form of Shoto. Meanwhile, Shoka is giving him a closer look over to see if he has any injuries. At least you're not hurt. That's a good thing. I don't know how a bunch of Midoriyas got into the city in the first place. Clearly, there's a leak. I'm going to have to investigate to make sure they don't leave the city. They will pay. Just don't leave the castle. We don't know if there was only one group of Midoriyas. If more manage to infiltrate the city, we're going to have a problem. What can you tell me about the encounter, Izuku? They weren't very good. They were complete novices. They didn't even know the Midoriya flush step technique. That means they weren't very experienced or fully trained. If it was a actual seasonal Midoriya, it would have been a whole lot tougher battle. Thank you, Izuku. I need to get back to my duties. I'll find you when I'm done. Stupid brother. As she stormed off, irritated by her brother, she would very much like to cause him physical pain. Great physical pain. Just for irritating her. Izuku was confused why Ray didn't do anything. They looked like they were having a heated argument. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about her. They're like that. They fight with each other all the time. It is a sibling thing. She should cool off in a little bit. Then they'll be back to normal. Did they give you any information how they got into the city? They weren't very specific about it, but they did mention they had to call in a lot of favors to get into the city. My lovely family most likely have some sort of informant in the city itself. Troubling. But my daughter will find the information eventually. She's going to be more determined, considering they were trying to kill you. She got quite attached to you, so she's going to be proper motivated. I feel the same way. She's been a good friend to this point. You're definitely not... Sorry, try again. You're nothing like your family. You're definitely something unique. Never thought I'd see a day where someone from your family would openly consider a vampire as a friend. It's a nice change of pace. I don't hate vampires. I'm not blinded by stupid grudges. Your daughter is the very first friend I ever made, and I expect we'll be spending a lot more time with each other. Oh, you're going to accept my daughter's proposal? She told you, did she? Of course, I'm her mother. She's been wanting to sponsor a hunter for a very long time. She's extremely picky. She's been always interested in having her own hunter and a hunter group, so she can enter the Hunter Blood Tournament. Exactly is the Hunter Blood Tournament. It's a grand tournament that's hosted at the capital every 5 years. They capture all sorts of creatures for the grand tournament and place them in a pocket dimension that has an artificial forest as the staging ground as they release all the monsters all at once. And hunters enter the tournament is where you can test your abilities in a control scenario. That's why you won't know what type of creature you will come across. Vampire hunting is slowly becoming a pastime. Outside of the feral vampires and werewolves, there's really no need for your typical vampire slayer. Some do practice the occupation, like your family. Eventually, they'll die out when time changes, like most things. Actually, because it's natural course of things. I need to get back to my duties. The city is on lockdown currently. You had a very eventful day. Why don't you rest until afternoon? Thank you on that. I'll see you later, Ray. Several hours has passed since the Midoriya incident in the abandoned construction site. Ray is sitting behind her desk, waiting for her daughter to report in of her findings. Shoko came into her office holding a letter or a file. You're not going to like this, Mother. What I found out. Probably not, daughter. As she takes the file from her daughter and begins reading it. This is very unfortunate. We've overlooked his actions in the past, but this is going way too far. That warlock will not get out of this one. How do you want me to handle this, Mother? Do anything for right now. We'll act tomorrow. There's many things we need to get prepared. Good, Mother. According to the information I found, Derek used a human to make contact with the Midoriya family. The Midoriyas probably don't know that the warlock smuggled them into the city. But I want that snake's head on a spike at the end of this. He's been getting away with far too many things. He needs to be dealt with permanently. In complete agreement, daughter. You've been wanting him dead for a very long time, and you're just waiting for the chance to take him down. He's a parasite. I can never find proof, but now that I have proof, I'm bringing him down. Even if I have to rip his head off his body. One way or another, I'm going to end him, Mother. I have proof that he's a traitor. I can finally act. We do have a problem. The rest of the magic community won't take likely to this. They've been a lot more secretive ever since they broke contact with any Midoriya. And I have a feeling Izuku is probably the cause. The majority of the community, magic community, stop associating themselves with the Midoriya clan. You're probably not wrong, daughter. After all, the Midoriyas wanted to kill Izuku because he was able to wield magic. They considered him abomination. His blood memories were very intense. I'll take my leave now, Mother. I need to return to my duties, so I'll be free later, so I can so I can spend some time with Izuku. I'll be getting my answer I'll be getting my answer today. Shoko left her mother's office to continue her work so she can have some free time to see Izuku if he will accept her proposal or decline it that she offered yesterday. That's where we're going to stop our part, or this part off. So I hope you guys have a good night and day. Judging by time zones, I'll catch you in the next video.